Hey,
All right, we are live. Yo, what is going on, fellas? Going on, man. Lakers. Let's get it, bro. 17th NBA championship. You guys know how excited I am. I got my guy Highfield with me today, man. We're going to be cooling it. We are going to be cooling it. Man, hold on. Let me see if I can get my guy Rico in here as well. Let's see. All right, let's try this again. We did it. Yes, sir. Timmy Turner, we did do it, man.
all those trades and the draft picks and everything turned out.
For real, bro. For real. All right. Yo, we can't hear you, Reeks. Nah, we can't hear you. We see you talking, though. See him trying to make a move, man. Los Angeles Lakers, though, man. 106-93. A little bit closer than it really was. Really, the whole game was kind of a blowout. We were kind of chilling, man. It wasn't stressful. My heart didn't start beating like it did in Game 4 or Game 5, anything like that. F the stupid fakers. Oh man, coming in, bro. He's coming in already. They tried to count us out many times. Yo, this was a weird season. This was a weird season for the Lakers. We had a ton of expectations early on. And then of course COVID and all that stuff that happened. We didn't know if we'll come back. We didn't know if they'll cancel the season, if we could finish out the season, if the bubble was going to affect anything when we decided to come back for the bubble. When we started the bubble, we looked terrible. We weren't making no shots. It was rough, man. The playoffs, I felt like we always had a scare every round, right? When Dame got a win in Game 1, it was like, yo, the Blazers for real. They were able to finish out that series. The Nuggets kind of gave us a little run for our money. So it was a crazy playoff, man. You better go cry about it in your room. What's going on, Damian? Let's go Lakers. Yes, sir, man. So, Game 6. It was like I said, a blowout, man. The Lakers went small. They went small to start off the game. No Dwight Howard, no JaVale McGee, no centers at all. I mean, we started Alex Caruso. Who would have thought Alex Caruso was going to be, starting in the NBA Finals just a year or two ago, man? And it worked. It worked, man. Did you have, Highfield, any thoughts on this game? I know it's not much. We blew them out.
Yeah, I think going small definitely helped though, because you could tell they were trying to pick off the big men and pick and rolls and getting the switches and trying to go at Dwight and JaVale and anybody that they had it playing center. But once they started going small, AD, I mean, all that man does is play defense. So yeah, that rim protector really does help.
Yeah, man.
Even if he doesn't want to play center.
AD's gonna have to get over that, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the old days. It's not the old days, man, where you need a traditional big, right? Everybody's going small now, and it's almost a liability. We were talking during the game, and I said centers, it's going to be tough for centers to get paid this offseason, because I really think the value of the traditional big man has dropped a lot.
Especially after this playoff run. Like, you saw Jokic, but he got exposed when he played the Lakers, so it's going to be rough to validate paying somebody like that unless you got a Embiid or somebody that's going to
right. And we've seen at times Anthony Davis, he struggled when he had Jimmy Butler guarding him. So really, you're getting a lot more capable wing defenders that are able to take down a lot of big man, which I think is going to be interesting how the Lakers move forward, because they're going to have a busy offseason with all the free agents they have. They had to bring back Dwight if they want to. JaVale McGee has the player option. Rajon Rondo has the player option. What do you do? I don't think J.R. Smith is coming back, but what do you do with Dion Waiters? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Is Dion Waiters the guy you try to bring back, or is he not? The Lakers are going to have to do a lot. This offseason.
They got some moves they really do got to make and make some decisions on how they're going to move forward with the squad. Because they got, obviously, you got the two tandem. That's all you really need, and you can build off of that. But you got to find key, like Caldwell Pope. That man came in. He came to play a couple games. He showed up. He helped out a lot. But then you got guys like Danny Green who very I would say hit or miss is an understatement at this point because that was a little rough to watch for him, especially
I mean,
after the his playoff run with Toronto. He played so well.
yeah, man. I mean, and we're going to get into it about Danny Green. I guess we get into it about Danny Green now. It's funny because Danny Green was supposed to be that marksman, right? When we signed him to the deal, the 2-year deal. We paid him a nice little penny. He's a 3-and-D guy. You know, we knew he's not going to provide too much more on offense, but he's going to be able to space the floor and he's going to knock down the 3, right? At least shoot 40% in that range. That was pretty much the expected performance we were going to get out of Danny Green. But for some reason in the bubble, Danny Green hasn't looked like Danny Green.
Not at all.
He came through today. He had a much better game today, if you want to call it that, shooting 3 for 7. But he did knock down 2 threes back. You've seen a little bit of swagger behind Danny Green for a split second. For a split second, he looked like the old guy, man. But the Lakers, what do you do with Danny Green? Because KCP ended up being really the shooter at the end of everything, and that was the guy we clowned early on.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody was not very much on him, especially after the last couple of seasons, because he's been real hit or miss, and the team hasn't been super great, especially last year. But yeah, I don't know what you do with that because Danny Green's got one more year, or was it this 1-year deal? Was
Danny Green had 2.
15?
He has one more. He has one more. Yeah,
2 years 30. That's what. Yeah. So it's,
I mean, he's not going nowhere. He's not going nowhere. Right. So he'll be back
unless LeBron pulls a little something like he did in Cleveland and starts trading people.
A GM, man.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't think there's the big market. I don't think there's a big market,
especially with that contract. Let's pay 15 mil for Danny Green.
I don't think it's going to happen, man. Mary says LeBron and Davis the best duo ever. I mean, they're a great duo, and I think winning the championship, I think we for sure see AD comes back. I mean, he's a free agent technically, right? But I do think he comes back. I don't think there's a situation he leaves. I think the Lakers lock him up now. To what type of contract and how long? We'll see, man.
You think he's gonna pull LeBron and do like a couple-year deal? You think he's going max?
Yeah, I think he's going to probably time it with LeBron. I could see a 3-year deal or 2+1 maybe. I don't think it'll be a 1-year deal, especially with the uncertainty with when it comes to salaries with the whole COVID situation. And is it going to drop a little bit? Is it going to raise a little bit? So I think he might take some security and getting a few years because LeBron's going to stay there for a couple of years. So I think if you time it up there, you're still competing. Next season is going to be a lot tougher, especially with Golden State coming back full strength. We'll see, what the Clippers does. Maybe Milwaukee, they figure something out. Yeah. Speaking of, you see the comment right here. James got lucky. Clippers got eliminated.
Oh.
I mean, yeah. I don't know if you call it luck, right? Because in the season, they split.
Right.
Lakers and Clippers split, and really every game was a battle. So we're not sure. And the Lakers still defeated the team that defeated the Clippers. The Clippers weren't that well-ran team in the playoffs, or really in the bubble.
They can't really say anything about it either because they went up. They were up 3-1. I mean, they had the chance to close it out, and they just gave. Honestly, you watched Game 7. They just gave up. They just straight gave up.
And you've seen there was tension between Paul George and his teammates. That was obvious. Kawhi Leonard,
he was getting that star treatment.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard had that one off game, but I mean, Kawhi Leonard wasn't really at fault, at least in my opinion. It really just came down to Lou Williams not being the same player in the bubble, especially
getting picked on defense.
Right. Trez wasn't the same guy that he was in the regular season. And then, of course, Paul George. So those are big factors. And then once again, I don't know how small the Clippers would have went on a consistent basis, right? I think they're going to always have these trades. They're going to have somebody out there who's going to stop Anthony Davis. So I think AD was the X factor, and we've seen it in Game 1 of the bubble, right? AD was the X factor there. So I don't know, but at the end of the day, they didn't make it.
Yeah, right? That's it. That's just the thing. And you got to think too when they when during the bubble when they shut everything down again for a couple of days, trying to decide if they wanted to finish the season. One of the only two teams voted, and Clippers were one of the two teams that wanted to go home and just cancel the bubble for the year.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
obviously something was going on in that locker room with that team that they just didn't feel comfortable being there or being around each other or what have you.
And then the reports of people kind of dismissing Paul George when he was trying to rally the troops, quote unquote, saying, let's come back, everybody come back and take another shot at it next season. I think those reports had some type of merit to it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I definitely do. It's going to be, they still have talent. You never going to count out the Clippers, right? They still have all of that unbelievable talent. I don't think they rebuild. They can't really do much. They don't have that much roster flexibility because they have no cap space. I don't think nobody's going to take a contract off of them. So it's only so much you can do, but we'll see. We'll see who they end up going with as next head coach. And
yeah, that's a big factor right there.
Yeah, if they could change the culture. I'm thinking if I had to bet right now, Ty Lue, especially with the Sixers going and getting Doc instead of maybe going to get Ty Lue. I think maybe he's the next man up, but we'll see.
After D'Antoni?
I don't think they had. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, D'Antoni, man, he's a heck of a coach. He's a heck of a coach. But we haven't seen D'Antoni win in the playoffs. You know.
Yeah.
So
that is a big one.
The only positive of the Clippers, you have guys that can play defense already. You don't have to implement anything crazy. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, is Kawhi Leonard coming down shooting threes every play? I don't see that.
Yeah, if he's gonna go ISO every play.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Pat Bev shooting threes every play. Like I don't see that happening.
That was kind of the downfall of this squad was they were playing hero ball and there wasn't a lot of movement or cuts or anything.
Yeah,
so he's got a bunch of guys standing around and.
Exactly, man. Did the Clippers get a coach yet? No, the Clippers have not got a coach at all.
Right.
Not at all. Congrats, but not a single acknowledgement of Kobe from LeBron. I wasn't able. We were getting ready, so I seen the celebration. I did not hear. I did not hear what he had to say at all. But maybe it could be something that he's going to talk about post game. You know what I mean? He's in the moment, so you got to give him a pad. I'm sure he's in the moment and is excited.
Right, and LeBron's calculated. You know, he'll say something eventually about it. He ain't going to leave it out.
Right. Mike Brown is going to be the next Clippers head coach. What do you think about that?
Brown?
Mike Brown, former coach of the year.
Coach?
Yes, former coach of the year, Mike Brown.
I don't know about that. I don't know if honestly, I've really never been a Mike Brown fan. I mean, he hasn't been in the greatest situation, obviously, when he was with the Cavs. The team wasn't the best when he had LeBron and Eric Snow and all those guys, but
the struggle team, man. Braun's back still hurting from carrying those guys.
Yeah, oh man. He was never the same after that.
Yeah, man. I'm not sure if it's Mike Brown. Like I said, if I had to bet right now, I definitely think Ty Lue. I think Ty Lue is his job to lose, really.
Yeah, I think so too. That'd be in-house too, right?
Yeah, he's in-house. He's been there. The players, from what I've heard, have a lot of respect for him. They love him. Obviously, Doc, was the main guy, so you can't overstep Doc Rivers. So Ty Lue kind of played his role a little bit, but I do think he has a lot of respect in that locker room. He's a champion, as both a player and the coach. So I don't mind. I don't mind Ty Lue if he's the next man for the Clippers.
Right, and it does help he's in the house, so he kind of knows how the team feels about everything. So if you're in house and you've seen how everything goes and what not to do, then maybe you can actually do something to turn it around a little bit.
Exactly, man. We have the Lakers. Obviously, they're going to have to, bring back a lot of guys, right? But I think the core is there, and I think they're going to be back as long as you have AD and LeBron, and you put a little bit of shooting around them. And remember Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley will be back. That was a big loss for the Lakers in the bubble. Right. They definitely needed them in some series, even in this series a little bit. So Avery Bradley will be back. So I think for the Lakers, they'll regroup. They'll get some extra role players. Rajon Rondo had himself a night. He
really did. The whole series, this man was going crazy. That's like playoff Rondo. That's a real statement right there. People make the joke, but it's a true fact. You saw him in the regular season. You're a Lakers fan yourself, so you already know. You've seen him play. he barely played, and if he did get minutes, it didn't look too great. And then he comes in the bubble in the playoffs, and it's just a whole
Playoff
different
Rondo's the
player.
real thing.
Yeah,
I'm a
really is.
believer in playoff Rondo. I know he doesn't like the name, but that's definitely a real thing, man. So we'll see. He's gonna be another year older, obviously, but when you just have somebody on the court that could play make as well as he can, I definitely think that's always going to help. So speaking of this comment right here, you guys are right on the lack of coaching on Miami. What do you think is next for Miami? I mean, they had a very impressive playoff run. I mean, some people pegged them, to get there. I thought maybe a second round exit is right. I did not see them getting past Milwaukee. I'm being honest.
Right.
So I mean, after that impressive, they're young, man. You have Bam, who's going to be back, and I think he ascended a lot. Tyler Hero has stepped up.
Right. Duncan Robinson had a good game.
Duncan Robinson, that game 5, with 26 points, man. I could not stand him in game 5.
Just hitting everything you put up.
Yeah, so I mean, you have a young core who got even Kendrick Nunn. He stepped in when Dragic went down, and he played fairly well. So you got guys who are hungry, and they have that experience now, right? They've been there. They were able to drag the Lakers to 6 games, and they have that confidence, especially in the East, taking down Milwaukee, coming back, taking down Boston. I think Miami's a team that could be right there. I still don't know if they'll be back next year. It's too early to tell. We have to see how the offseason goes, man. But I definitely think Miami is a team that can compete for a while. What do you think?
I think so, too. They got some space, a cap space, too, so if they want to go out and try to get a max player or sign somebody else to try to help them out, I think so. But the big thing that for me was losing Dragic, because then you have 2 rookies. Basically, you have Kendrick Nunn and Hero kind of trying to run the point guard a little bit, just basically bring the ball up. But when you have Dragic coming off the screens and setting up the offense and the flow of the game, I felt like it helped out a lot. You saw it in the final or the conference finals against the Boston. That man was torching everybody that tried to guard him, even Marcus Smart. So he's supposed to be decent at defense. So I think losing Dragic definitely hurt. Bam wasn't fully healthy, so once he came back and got a little bit of a flow and started feeling better, he obviously, you saw him tonight. He had 28-12 or something crazy. So
25, 10 to 5, man. Another with 2 blocks on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. And he's the anchor for their defense too. So not having him for this couple of games, just let AD go crazy.
Bam really made an impression this year. He came on strong and he showed versatility, right? I mean, he's dumping out assists like it's nothing. He's grabbing boards. His mid-range shot is nice. He's knocking down free throws. On the defensive end, he's doing it all for you, really. He could guard really 2 through 5, right?
Yeah,
some ones, depending on the one, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I might have trouble staying in front of a Kimbo or smaller guard, but
right. And here we go, man. Is LeBron the GOAT? Obviously, now that LeBron's won his 3rd championship with a 3rd team, 3rd NBA Finals MVPs with a 3rd team, you're going to get this question a lot. Is LeBron the GOAT?
All right.
I'm going to let you go first.
I've been a LeBron fan since back in the day. I'm still a Cavs fan. It's a struggle now, but I will say I'll have to go. I'm going to say no. I mean, I get the 3 championships with 3 teams, but I just think what guys like Mike and Will and those guys did is just. I mean, I put him top. He's top 3 for sure for me.
He's on the Mount Rushmore. I don't think nobody can deny that. Like if you have LeBron outside of the Mount Rushmore, then we can start questioning it. But I'm with you. The GOAT is so tough. It's so subjective, and a lot of it comes down to your preference. Really, a lot of it comes down to your preference to play. Because like you said, you could go with a lot of different players, right? As to who do you like the best. Me personally, I love the killer instinct, man. I love that guy who could go get it. So Mike, for me, it's tough to beat. It's tough, man.
Yeah, right. Especially those 6 chips.
Right. I mean, it's tough. As a Laker fan, it's hard for me to be like, oh man, yeah, he's better than Kobe. But obviously, you look at the body of work. You look at Braun did. I'm comfortable saying he elevated past even to Kobe Bryant, right? He's definitely top 3. At the worst, he's in the top 5, man. But it's not done. Right. His book is not over, man. So you're going to get this conversation a lot. And he still has a few. He's probably on the last chapter, but he definitely has a few, a couple dozens of
I think
pages.
he's I think he's
To
got a
write.
few more years left. I mean, you're
Mhm.
35 years old and you still play like that. Like last year was kind of knock on wood, was kind of a fluke little injury season with the groin or whatever was wrong with him. So
Mhm.
I'm just gonna. I don't think so. I don't think he's the GOAT. That's a good debate that everybody likes to have, but he's got a few more years left in him,
Right.
so we'll see.
Right.
I mean, I will say the 3 trips with 3 different teams. That's a big
That's
arguing point
impressive.
right there. Yeah,
That's definitely
that's really
impressive because
impressive.
you look at the longevity of it, right? Granted, he came in much earlier than Michael Jordan did, right? So you also have to take that into effect. But then MJ did take his baseball years off. So, but you do look at the longevity of it. When Jordan was in the peak, there was no losing the finals. There wasn't really a struggle, right? He was the clear cut best guy. LeBron had his clear cut best years really in Miami, right?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
the last 5 years, he hasn't been the clear cut best player in the league. Similar to Jordan's final 2 years when you had Karl Malone win the MVP and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you see it in the back end, but I mean LeBron, man, he's still been playing out of this world. So we'll see
It's
when it's all said and done. But it's
when
tough
you've
right
been in
now.
you're 35, you've been in the league for 19 or 18 years or whatever it's been for him, and he's still playing like
That's
that. Winning a
impressive, man.
Finals MVP, triple doubles. That stat earlier wasn't he only 2 playoff games away from tying Magic
Yeah,
Johnson's record?
28 triple doubles in the playoffs. Magic
Yeah.
Johnson had 30. The next closest guy was Jason Kidd with 11. So
Yeah. Right.
that's a
So
big jump,
that's incredible.
Yeah. Kostas got a championship before Giannis. Yeah, what do I think about that? We actually brought that up quickly,
Yeah.
man, before you hopped on. Um, hey, just right team, right place. I mean, Kostas, man, he's the key to hopefully the Lakers trying to make a run at Giannis if Giannis
Yeah.
decides to leave Milwaukee in 2 years now. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, it's just the right place, right time. I do think it's funny all the other Antetokounmpo brothers playing with Giannis, or the other brother playing with
Right.
Giannis, and Kostas is the one that gets the ring, man. It was supposed to be Milwaukee and the Lakers, right? It was supposed to be Milwaukee and the Lakers, but I mean the Heat ruined that one, man. So
Right.
they figured out,
And
man, we're gonna build this wall. We could beat Milwaukee.
right. And I will think that it is going to show. Granted that it showed Giannis a little bit that the wall in his paint game, he's got to expand his range a little bit. I mean, he did hit a couple threes this season and didn't shoot as terrible percentage wise, but you got to think that this offseason he's going to go in there and realize that he's got to stretch his game out a little bit and expand it so he can go ahead and actually be super effective in the playoff when the defense ramps up and people start scheming around you for 4+ games, the whole series.
Exactly,
So if
man.
they can figure you out, then you're in trouble, which is what happened. And he did get hurt too, right? So he did
Yeah.
miss one of the last games. I think he missed I know the last game for sure. But
yeah, I mean his injury, Giannis's injury, even in the regular season, I think paved the way for LeBron now winning the MVP this season. Because I think if the league didn't suspend itself and Giannis being out and the Lakers being on that momentum, right, beating the Clippers and beating Milwaukee before the stop, LeBron was on top of his game. I definitely think LeBron could have won the MVP this season. Do we think he's going for the three-peat? I'm guessing you're talking about LeBron. The three-peat is going to be that's tough, man. Just because you got so many young teams. You have Dallas, I think, is a team that will win a championship in the next few years, man. I definitely think the Blazers, I think they figured something out in the bubble. I think they're going to be a team. I'm really high on the Warriors, man. Having that flexibility of having that pick with Andrew Wiggins, with Steph and Clay returning. You could get a big man, or you could flip. You have so many options that I think it's tough that the Warriors don't make a strong push. So when you talk about three-peat, that's tough, man. I'm happy we got this one. I will say we got this one.
I will say with the next year at least, the Warriors are going to obviously probably start slow because it's been so long since they've all played together. Get a flow, get some kind of groove going. We don't know the Clippers situation. We obviously saw what happened this year, so it could be not so great in the start of next season, depending on how the situation of the coach and the teammates go, because obviously it shows that Paul George wasn't very liked, as we can been reading about. So
that's true. And a team like Golden State, really just playing together is big, because having that momentum, especially in that free flowing offense like that, you kind of just expect, players to be in certain places. So getting that rhythm together, I definitely do think, that's important. So I do think it will take him a little while to get that. So that's definitely a great point. This is a good question. Is Butler considered a superstar now?
Good
old Jimmy.
I would have to say, those two games alone that I don't want to say he put the team on his back, but he kind of put the team on his back right there. When you're scoring 35-point triple doubles in a two finals games, and those are the two games that you guys win, that just goes to show you that he has what it takes to go ahead and try to be on that superstar level. I'm not going to put him up there with a KD or Kawhi or LeBron or anybody, but I do think that next tier.
Superstar. What is superstar to you though? Is it top 8, top 10? I mean, it's subjective, right?
Yeah, I would say I think I would have it right now with obviously KD, the injuries, and Steph and Clay and all those guys that you would kind of consider. I don't consider Clay, but if you consider like Steph and Kawhi and all these guys, I think I would put him in my top 10. I think I would have. I have to go through and actually think about it and look at all this. But I think he'd crack my top 10 at this point, especially after this last run he just had.
I'm with you. I think you definitely have to think about it. I don't think you put him up there right now, man. I don't think he had a heck of a run. He had a really good run, man. And he's one heck of a leader, you know what I mean? But being a great leader doesn't make you a superstar. You know what I mean? Right. And then when you look at it, if you're going to put him as a superstar, you have to hold him to the superstar expectations. He had 12 points tonight.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if that was Harden, if that was Braun in the loss, if that was really any superstar that you put up there, you're knocking him down or you're bashing him, right? I mean, he had 12 points on 10 attempts.
Right.
I mean, so he's definitely a star without a question. He's an all-star for a reason. You put him on that list. He's a guy that you want. Superstar, I think, is being in the moment. I think you're in the moment too much and you're just looking at those games, because he was still kind of up and down this series. He had some games this series where he wasn't aggressive and he wasn't playing like that guy. Then he had the 40-point triple-double, right? So good player. I don't think you put him. See, we got a couple of people saying now. So I don't think you put him as a superstar right now. Let's see. I would love to repeat. That's hard to do. Yeah, repeat's going to be hard to do, man. It's going to be hard.
Especially with all the, like you said, with the Warriors and all these other teams coming back, going to be hopefully fully healthy next year. And it's little shorter of an off season too, so you gotta take that into effect for guys like LeBron, who's up there in age, and some of the older guys you got like Rondo and everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out, because I'm hearing they're saying right now the earliest the league will start will be Christmas Day, right? I'm thinking realistically, the NBA is going to want fans in the stands, right? They're not going to want to lose on this revenue again. I mean, the bubble was a great experiment. I don't think this is the long-term plan for the NBA. So, I mean, I could still see a 3, possibly 4. I don't know. I don't know how late they want to go. It's so up in the air, man. I could definitely see a 3-month off season. I could see them starting in January or even in February.
Yeah.
Kicking off the season. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how obviously the winter does with the whole virus and everything like that. But
and it would be smart, you gotta think too, if you start like late January, early February, because then you can get the NFL season out the way, Super Bowl's done. The only thing that's going to be on TV at that point is them and the NBA, and that's going to obviously help ratings and fans in the stands if that comes to this point because of the COVID situation. But
yeah, we'll see with the NFL situation. They're about to go through it, man.
Yeah, they're a little predicament themselves. So
yeah, so we'll figure that one out, man. I hope you're right on the Warriors. As long as the Lakers don't win, I'm happy.
Oh my god, this man.
The Lakers fan, man. I can't go with that one. But yeah, man, I'm definitely high on Golden State.
Right.
Butler is nice. Yeah, he's definitely there, man. If Jimmy Butler joined the LA Lakers, do you think it'll be like KD's, like the KD situation?
Mm. I don't think contractually they can do that though, right?
No, I mean, no. The Lakers don't have the.
Yeah, they
They'll
would
have
have
to
to.
move.
That'd be
I
so
mean,
many.
you could make it work. You have to move like a Danny Green, Avery Bradley. You have to put together
Yeah, you got to shed contracts
some
for
things for
sure.
that happen. I don't think it's a realistic thing. But just playing what if in
Hypothetically.
this situation. I wouldn't put it as bad as KD, just because KD is an elite player. You're not talking about a star. So he's an elite player, right? He's might be one of the best, and at the best offensive player in the NBA when he's fully healthy, right? Like the arsenal that Kevin Durant has is crazy. And they were up on Golden State. They were up 3-1 in that series.
They were up 3-1.
You know what I mean? They were up 3-1, but all they had to do was close it out. On top of that, Golden State was the best regular season team of all time. Right? You know what I mean? So
forget that one.
yeah. So I don't look at it as exactly the same. I don't think he'll make the move. I wouldn't put it in the exact same realm, but I mean, I could see some people making that comparison, especially if you do consider Jimmy Butler as a superstar. Remember, I don't put him quite there, but if you do treat him as such, I could see that type of situation.
I agree with that too, because obviously there's different levels to it, and KD is levels and levels above Jimmy Butler in this situation right now. So even with we'll see how he comes back from the Achilles. But I still think that once he gets warmed up a little bit and stays healthy, KD's obviously top 3 in the league. It's Kawhi, KD, and LeBron. Now, I don't know if it's in that. To me, to me, it's those 3, and then you could probably, if you want to, try to put AD in there somewhere. But I don't, like you said, I don't think Jimmy Butler is that level yet to where it'd be like a KD situation.
No, yeah, you look at it, and like I said, he's not. I mean, there's just other players, I think. I mean, he was a perfect fit for this team. I mean, he fits that Miami culture perfectly, Jimmy Butler.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
sure.
it's just a match made in heaven, right? But it's just, I just don't put him up there. I mean, you look at the start, like you just said, the star players. I mean, and I think Kawhi Leonard took a little step back when you look at the ranking. I can't see how you look at this and be like, Kawhi's the top player. You still look at a LeBron James. You still even look at a Giannis, even though, you know, things didn't work out the way that it did. Anthony Davis proved he's at least a top 6, top 7 at the most, at the worst. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I don't have him up there. But you were speaking about KD. It's interesting. I don't think we ever talked about this one. What do you think about the Nets in the immediate future? Talking about like the next 3 seasons. You know, you have the new head coach with Steve Nash. No coaching pedigree. Absolutely none. But I'm sure he's going to equip himself with a very knowledgeable staff. You know what I mean? That makes up for it. But
exactly.
You get Kyrie back. You get Kevin Durant back. You still have a squad, you know what I mean, with Dinwiddie and really LeVert. You have guys. Allen, you got guys there. DeAndre Jordan is just a friend.
Yeah, he's the reason they're there.
He's a good friend, you know what I mean? So you have a squad. What do you guys think about the Brooklyn Nets? And you guys let us know in the chat too. Do you guys think the Nets is a realistic option in the next, say, 2 to 3 seasons?
I like the on paper, on the roster, they got the dudes. I do like the situation that they're in, but the last 2 to 3, the last year of the Cavs with Kyrie, and then those 2 years at Boston, I did not like what I saw at all from Kyrie. He had the big turnaround 3-point shot in the championship to put him up to basically win them the game for Cleveland, but after that, it's just been troublesome and problems and injuries and just all negative things for Kyrie. So I'm not a giant believer in Kyrie. I don't get me wrong, Kyrie is a hooper. That man can score on anybody, but I just don't think between him and who's injury prone, and then you got KD coming back from an Achilles tear, where I mean, back in the day it might end your career, but at this point you could probably come back and be hopefully
And
be the player that he was
KD
before.
has a history with injuries.
Yeah, right. Especially being that long and lanky.
Mm-hmm. And you start hitting the 30s, man. It gets
Right.
it gets rough on you. So
It's a different game. No, not
I'm with
everybody is LeBron James.
that also goes back into the GOAT situation, right? Can't everybody do that? So I mean, I'm with you with the Nets. I think on paper, on NBA 2K, unbelievable team, unbelievable, man.
Right.
In practice, actually seeing them like on the court in games, I'm not sure. I think right now they're all best friends. There's going to be a time Kyrie doesn't pass KD the ball for the last shot, and he's going to start feeling like this is Russell Westbrook again. So
or vice versa. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Kyrie. That's why part of the reason why Kyrie left Cleveland, because he wanted to be the man and he didn't want to be on LeBron's shadow. So you're gonna be in the similar situation when KD comes back. Because
and that's why he didn't like Boston.
Right, exactly.
Right, because Boston. I mean, they had a unit without him. Yeah, like they were playing better without Kyrie. So
exactly.
And we've seen the Nets play okay without Kyrie, with Spencer Dinwiddie holding it down. So
right, especially the year before that playoff run that they had. Like, granted, they gave Philly a run for their money. Yeah. Philly had to really
with D'Angelo Russell
beat them.
So
right, yeah, exactly. And that squad, I like that squad too. But like you said, they got
fun
rid
to
of the
watch,
coach.
man. Fun to watch.
Yeah,
fun to watch. This is another interesting one. Speaking of Kawhi, do you think he regrets picking the Clippers over the Lakers?
Honestly, after that, those last couple games in the bubble, I think it's too early to say. It's only been 1 year, but maybe if an immediate, like, your first reaction is probably thinking, yeah, I might have made a mistake here.
Right. I don't think he would admit it to himself.
Yeah.
I don't think he's sitting down saying I made a mistake. But I do think there's like a small part that don't want to admit it. That's like, I don't know about my current situation. I put it that way, because the Clippers have turmoil off the court, right? So when you're going through that in the locker room, you're probably thinking like, I don't know if this is the best situation. And really, you had two other options, because the Toronto Raptors, they love each other off and on the court, right? That's that's really like unit. A family over there, yeah. And we've seen how good they played without, like, nobody expected Toronto to do what they did without Kawhi Leonard.
Exactly right. I honestly didn't know if they were going to make a playoff push at all.
You start thinking they're a lower seed when Kawhi leaves, and now you look at them like, yo, they have a team that can compete without Kawhi. Obviously, Kawhi puts them over the top, but this is still a very good team. And then Siakam taking that step up a little bit. I mean, I think you look at that situation and look at that team, and that Toronto team minus is better than the Clippers minus Kawhi Leonard, including Paul George. Like, keep the Clippers with Paul George. I like that Toronto team more than I like the Clippers team.
I do too. Right.
You look at the Lakers, man. The Lakers, obviously, there's times where LeBron, maybe he does a little too much, kind of points fingers, but the Lakers are a tight unit. They are a very tight unit also. You can see it, especially on the bench, man. They get along. You've seen the reports. Anthony Davis, cussing out LeBron at practices. I mean, you got to be a tight unit to be able to pull those off. Even Danny Green, everybody had Danny Green's back when he was getting death threats for missing that three. So,
and then you get a guy like Rondo who hasn't been like obviously, like when he would play for the Mavericks, that wasn't the best situation for him. He didn't get real along with anybody. But then you get guys like him and Dion and JR and guys that are like hit or miss as teammates.
It's a culture,
all those guys to get along. Yeah,
the Lakers really don't have a lot of bad teammates.
No, I don't think so either.
When you look at it, there's not like guys like Paul George. People can't stand. Anytime you're with a group of guys that long, you're going to have fallouts. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have times you're looking at guys. But as a whole, the Lakers as a unit, I think they're great. I think that played a huge role in their success, because you had the Clippers, specifically Paul George, again, using the excuse we haven't played together long enough. We still try to figure each other out. This was a whole new Lakers team.
Right. They're in the same situation.
The Lakers just picked everybody up in the summer. It was like, let's go figure something out, win a championship. I mean, they're really, what? You had LeBron, Kuzma. I'm trying to think, Rondo and McGee.
Caruso. and
and
McGee.
Caruso.
Right.
Were those
And
the only returners?
yeah, I think so because they signed because Caldwell Pope wasn't there before, right?
No,
I
no,
don't think he was in
KCP.
the.
KCP
Yeah,
was
he
there.
was
He
the.
was
Yeah,
there.
he was. Okay, that's what I
He was
thought.
on
Yeah.
house arrest, and that, he was
Oh
on work
yeah.
release when he had the ankle monitor and stuff.
Right.
So,
Oh
but
man.
yeah, I mean, but a lot of the key pieces. AD was new. Dwight Howard was new. DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, he was still on the court or right now on the court around the team. He was new. Danny Green was new. Avery Bradley was new.
Right.
Obviously JR, and then bringing in Dion Waiters midway
Mhm.
point in the season. So yeah, man.
I think it's possible for the tonight. I think it do get that going.
I do never
See,
regret going to the Lakers. Yeah.
I can see where he's coming from with that, like the immediate reaction. Maybe not like long term, because Kawhi either way, Kawhi's going to get his money. So at
Mhm.
this point, it's just the situation and how it affects him and his play. Because like you said, you had that Toronto run the last year where everybody thought that he might be taking over as the best player in the game, and then they come out this year and it just didn't look the same. I mean, he took a step back on defense. If you look at some of the stats,
Mhm.
it didn't play as hard, and then obviously those last couple of games, you can kind of tell that that team as a whole just kind of gave up.
Right. Lakers
So.
also won a chip on my birthday. This is the best birthday present. Well, happy birthday,
Happy
first and
birthday,
foremost.
brother. Yeah.
Yes, you couldn't ask for nothing more, man. It's been a long while since Lakers have been here. Obviously, as Lakers fans, we are spoiled. We can ask my guy how I feel right here. We say it's been a long time. It's been 10. Well, no, you guys got one in 16. So never mind.
Right.
So you guys
Right.
got one way more recent than we did. But I mean, the Lakers, I mean, fans, we expect to always kind of be there. We expect to get the top free agents, all that good stuff, man. So it's definitely a good present, man. Enjoy this. I know I'm going to enjoy it for the next few months. Obviously, we'll get back to work. Hopefully, the Lakers can figure everything out. But, I'm talking trash. I'm feeling confident, walking with my chest out, man.
Best team in LA.
Yeah, man. So I mean, we're the best team in the world right now, man. So I'm going to embrace it, especially after taking, those Kobe championships a little bit for granted. Now that we kind of got back to the top, because just a couple years ago, man, it was rough. It was rough being a Lakers fan.
Yeah. Hard times for
Yeah,
you guys for a while.
yeah, man. It was rough, man. We went through the Robert Sacre and crazy players on our team, man. We went through a crazy run, so it was
the
good.
Jordan Clarkson era.
I thought that guy was going to be here long term, man. Got to go eat the cake now. Bye, man. Appreciate you for coming through, bro. I definitely do. Enjoy the rest of your birthday. I know it's definitely late, man, but this is definitely a good one. But I think we can start wrapping it up here, man. Lakers win the 17th NBA championship, man. Very impressive game. It did not look close really at any point in this game. We were
you could tell that they were no nonsense today.
Yeah. Game 5, I was on the edge of my seat. I don't think I talked to nobody during the game. I was literally, I know downstairs, wife, and he was like, "Yo, what is he doing up there?" Man, I was going through game 5, especially in that fourth quarter, being down 11, fighting back and lose. I was going through stuff, man. And I had to get myself together. Video. Yeah, I had to get myself together after and make a video and not blame Danny Green. That was tough because the emotional side you want to. But this game, man, it was just the Lakers made that adjustment. They made the adjustment. They went small. Like I said, I never thought Caruso was going to be starting in the NBA Finals unless it was like an injury or something crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the Lakers went small. Markieff Morris, another guy that was a new addition midway through the year. Markieff Morris played a big role, even though he had that mental lapse in game 5, throwing the ball away. He came through, man. So
he did.
I think for the Lakers,
spread the floor for sure, sitting in the corners like that.
Definitely, man. One of the best shooters.
Yeah, exactly. One of the best on the team for sure. And you got to respect it and close out at least, even if it doesn't go in. So you're drawing the paint open a little bit for LeBron or AD to do their thing.
Right, man. I mean, we're going to enjoy this win, celebrate. The draft is right around the corner. It's weird having everything going so quick in October, right? It's supposed to be football season. And we're watching NBA finals on nights that NFL's going on, man. So it's a strange time. People talk about the NBA ratings. I'm like, dude, there's like 7 sports going on right now.
Right. You can't go off the ratings right now, especially with the situation.
Do I want to watch football? Do I want to watch the MLB playoffs, or do I want to watch the NBA? Like, it's a lot of options, man.
Right.
So, and college football even being back. So
yeah, exactly. That's another big one.
A lot of options out there, man. It's definitely a weird time. The bubble. Last question before we get out of here. I do want your opinion on this one. Does winning a championship in the bubble, do you give it the same amount of credit? Do you give it more or less than a regular championship?
I don't want to call it like I don't want to say asterisk because I don't really like that term. But you gotta think the being on the road in an NBA Finals game with the crowd against you, and you can't hear what you're saying. You can barely hear anybody talking to you at this point. Like, I do think have a little like note next to it, but I don't think I don't consider it like not a win. Like you obviously had to go through all these teams and play good basketball to win it, but obviously there was other factors involved. But you got to also consider like you're in the bubble for 2 or 3 months. You're just seeing
crazy
people every day. Yeah, exactly. Like Paul George said he like had depressed halfway through the bubble because he couldn't see his friends or family or anybody.
I don't think LeBron's played as much Madden as he has in his bubble ever before, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm torn, man. I think even with what you said, I don't know. I'm like the opposite. Like I kind of lean towards obviously you give it as much credit. I don't think it's less credit than any championship. I think you give it as much, if not, you may even consider a little bit more because you're battling taking that time off out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big factor.
Then trying to ramp things up in the bubble and you leaving and then you not having family for the first month, being allowed. Like you said, going stir crazy, being in the same place over and over and over again. Like Disney World, I bet you it was a great place. It's a great place to visit and vacation. You don't want to be there 3 months. Like 3 months, you're gonna be like, yo. I mean, granted, they're in like they're in the luxury suites, and then they're
you saw LeBron's hotel room.
Yeah, they got a whole house. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they're not like in a little cooped up room, but I think that's tough. For certain teams that are higher seeded, I think exactly what you said about home court advantage and playing on the road. I think that hurts. That hurt Milwaukee. I think that hurt the Lakers because you had the home court advantage. You fought so hard for the home court advantage. Now your home court advantage is having a nicer hotel room. But but you fought for that. So the same way the Lakers would have had to go on the road for games 3 and 4, and then on the road tonight for game 6. We could have said the same for the Lakers in their favor. Like, do you lose that game 5 with the Heat on the road in Staples Center?
Right.
So
exactly.
I mean,
and you got the travel is a big factor too, especially if you're playing Miami from LA to Miami, and you're only a couple days in between. That'd be a big factor too.
It's tough, man. So you're literally playing straight up. This is the most straight up you could get. Everybody's battling the same environment, the same everything, man. You're not going to different altitudes and playing in Denver all of a sudden, and now you got shortness of breath. You're not flying across country. Like everybody's battling the same elements. You got the same friends and family in the crowd, and that's it. You know what I mean? So I think it's tough. I think this is as straight up as you could get a champion, in my opinion. But with all that said, I hope there's fans next season. I don't want a situation. I want we could look back and be like, man, remember that one season in 2020? That was crazy, and we don't have to do this again.
Right, hopefully not. Now, here's a real quick question before we go. Do you think that the bubble is going to happen again, or do you think it's going to be in arenas? Because obviously the NFL's kind of I mean, as of right now, not every team has fans in the stadiums. Like I know here in Ohio, the Bengals and the Browns are allowed like 5,000-6,000 fans right now. So it's working a little bit for some people, but obviously the NBA arenas are a little bit tighter. So do you think they're going to come back?
I think they will. I think for the NBA, they rather prolong the starts of the season, and try to get some type of fans back. And for them, they're in a good spot where you can kind of sit back, play out your off season. and then kind of figure out based off of the NFL and some other leagues, right? So you're going to sit back and see with college. I know University of Florida Gators coach wants full attendance at the next Florida game.
Right.
We don't know what's going to come out of that, So you can kind of sit back and look at some of these states that have, softer or more lenient rules on that and kind of see, how you want to play it. I do think the NBA is back in arenas, whether it's full capacity, half capacity, a quarter capacity. I don't know what it is, but I do think they'll be. I don't think they'll do the bubble again.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either at this point. But you can't imagine trying to because this was like what 2 to 3 months in the bubble. I think they were down there, and you're trying to do a 4 to 5 months that season from January whenever they start to the end of it. So.
Why do I go live? I don't talk to us. What's the point? Just upload the video and you can take your time and talk to us then. I mean, I've been trying to. I feel like I answered a lot of questions.
And if he was in here earlier, he would have saw we did. We went through and that's what some of the topics that we brought up were from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was some of the topics and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that was mainly what everybody wanted to talk about for the most part, man. Lakers getting the win, unless there's any last minute questions. I think we could we go ahead and start wrapping this one up, man. But overall thoughts on the season as a whole, not just the Lakers, man. Was this an exciting season or the bubble experience? How was it?
It was definitely different. I would say I would consider it an exciting season because when everything happened at the beginning of the year and the season shut down and everything else shut down, I honestly didn't know if it was ever going to be finished. I was just under the assumption that it was done. They're just going to take the loss in the season and move on until next year. So I was glad it came back. Obviously, I was glad all sports came back. So it was pretty exciting for me to even in the bubble with no fans, I still think that it was still pretty exciting.
Right. The Suns will be nice next year. The Suns in the bubble. Whew.
Oh man, I can't believe that's
a whole nother storyline, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can go undefeated in the bubble and still.
Suns in the bubble the way Devin Booker has help. Who would have thought that at some point, man? And DeAndre Ayton could shoot threes. What?
Where did that come from?
Who would have thought that, man? Who would have thought that? At least my Celtics got third in the playoffs. Celtics are gonna be back, man. They're young. They have a lot of talent.
I think so too. They'll figure it out. They
get rid of Gordon. They get rid of Gordon Hayward's contract. I think they'll be. Yeah, and like you said, the assets with the draft picks. You got Danny Ainge, man. He's a heck of a GM. The Celtics will be just fine, man. They just.
Yeah, I think so too.
The Heat was just on a roll. They were just on the roll. They were hard to put out the flame, pun intended, right there. And John Wall needs to come back. John Wall, I seen a video of John Wall playing. I don't know if you've seen it on social. Yeah, John Wall was playing, man, and he looked okay. He looked a little fluffy around the midsection, but that's to be expected, man. But John Wall, I think he'll be back. I don't know what happens with the Wizards, man.
2 years off, right?
Yeah, and he still has another 2 years left on that deal, so he's not movable. You can't trade that contract.
Yeah,
so
no.
The question is just: is he going to be there with Bradley Beal? That's the whole question. John Wall will be back, but who's going to be his running mate?
Yeah.
I hope
you saw what Bradley Beal did. That man was
Bradley Beal looked incredible, man.
Right.
I hope the Heat win the chip next year. I don't think they do, but we'll see. I mean, they're going to be a team that's there, though. They're definitely going to be a team that's there. Luka MVP next year. I don't think that's far-fetched.
I mean, I honestly could agree with that. That man was going crazy. And if you can get a healthy Porzingis back and a couple other guys on the squad, a couple of shooters.
And how young he is, man.
Yeah, right.
How young he is. Luka is going to be a problem, man.
He really is.
But we got to give respect to my guys, Jimmy. He did the best he can to win. His team didn't do the best. I mean, I thought for what they had, I mean, you got to remember the Heat are a bunch of scrappers, man. Nobody looked at the Heat at the Heat roster before the season was like, that's the championship team right there.
Right. That's going to be the finals.
We were like, they'll be in the playoffs.
Right.
I think that was it, man. But I mean, they overperformed And that's why you got to love that team, and you got to love that the mentality they have. Right, they are
it
a
was all
blue collar. If you could have a blue collar NBA franchise, it's the Miami Heat, man.
It really is. The Heat
so
culture,
I mean,
it's a real thing.
Yeah, they work hard. They're going to scrap. You know.
Well, they invited a guy like Dragic. They made him like he came there. He looked great.
Dragic looked like he was going to be done.
Yeah, right. With all those injuries,
and you still got Udonis Haslem cussing everybody out. So
yeah, being 38. But
so man. So
I like that squad. I really do, and I do give Jimmy his respect. That man was hooping, doing everything he could. Granted, he had a couple slow games, but
right, the Kings would be nice next year. I don't like Luke Walton. So I mean, that's where my disconnect is with the Kings, man. They have talent. Right. They definitely have talent. I don't see Buddy Hield being back. That could be a whole nother video. Right. I don't see Buddy Hield being back with all that drama they got going on with him and Luke Walton. So the Kings are a good team. They're a team that could probably, finish 10, 11.
I don't think they make a playoff push.
They're not a bottom team. They're not a playoff team. They're kind of like one of those limbo.
Don't forget teams. That they passed up on Luka. So
yeah, they did, man. He said Tyler Hero choked on the game. They did. What about Utah? They did good. Utah did good, man. I mean, Utah is another team to me that is. I think in the Western Conference, they're just built for like a second round exit, like every time. Right. Unless somebody comes, unless they can make some type of crazy move somewhere, or a player just starts outperforming what I think they're going to outperform. I think Utah is a solid regular season team when teams aren't game planning specifically for them. Right. I think they're easier to contain. I definitely think they're easier to contain.
Yeah. It's hard to. It's hard with real quick on the Utah thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike Conley underperformed. They expected a lot out of Mike, and I don't feel like he had some good moments, but I think they expected a lot more out of him.
He was a disappointment.
Yeah,
they had a bench on at one point.
Right? Yeah, he was even starting. Had Jordan Clarkson instead, but Rudy Gobert in the playoffs. I get it, but he's a good player. But it's hard to play him in the playoffs in the couple last minutes of the game because the man can't hit a free throw.
Yeah, when NBA playoffs is different. The game slows down. It's more half-court offense. And when you have somebody who's stagnant, who's just there, and we know Rudy Gobert's there on offense,
right?
It gets tough. It definitely gets tough. All right, so last question before we get out of here. What do you think about the T-Wolves situation next year? They got your guy, D'Angelo Russell. He has a full season with Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I mean, granted, they're both young. It looks promising. They're both good players, but I don't know. From what I've seen from that team and from especially Karl Towns, like I'm a UK fan. You are too, but
yeah,
I love what he did at UK, but man, the defense is looking rough. Like he just can't guard a soul.
And
D'Angelo doesn't play defense either. So if you got to have some guys around you to lock down. I just don't think they got enough around them. And they're the West, and the West is obviously always stacked.
So it's always tough to make it in the West, man. Yeah, I think the Timberwolves, they're just one of those underachieving teams, man. It's just, and unless they change the whole culture in Minnesota, I don't see that changing too much. I mean, I like D'Angelo Russell more than Andrew Wiggins, but I think at the end of the day, it's not that big of an upgrade, like when it comes to making the playoffs or doing something crazy like that. So we'll see. We'll see in the draft. We'll see in the offseason, if they could get somebody else in there. But I think for the Timberwolves, they'll be in a slightly better situation, but still out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. They'll be like the Kings.
Yeah, they'll be in that realm.
12. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If they have a good year, they might be like 9.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think that's a good year, man. But I don't think so, man. But I appreciate everybody for coming through the stream. We'll go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate you, Hyphen, for stopping by, man.
Thank you for the invite, my friend.
Always, man. Lakers champions. Finally. We can go ahead and celebrate. You guys will see like a banner. You're gonna see something on that wall eventually, man. I'm getting something for the Lakers winning this championship. But I appreciate all y'all for stopping through. Whoever's still in here, I know a lot of y'all just left, man. Leave this a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. We talk about NBA. I'm going to have my guy Highfield on more. We're going to have more live streams. We're going to have some call-in shows, all that good stuff for you guys, man. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. But any last words, Highfield, before I'm out?
Go Lakers. Go LeBron.
All right, man.
That's all I got to say.
I'm out, man. Peace.
See ya.